Hey, it's me, Unapologetically T, and I am back with another video, and I'm here. And so this video is about respecting your elders. So I went to this little church event, and I told y'all, like, no, I don't prefer church, just from my past experience with church. The older I get, I learned that it's not the church itself. The church is a building that people build. It's the people. No ma'am. No ma'am. I know that dog is barking, but not us. All right. So I know that the church is a building. Man has built and man inhabits. So it's not church that bothers me anymore. It's the people in church. And I find that I don't do well with large groups of people most of the time anyway. So it makes sense that when I go to the church, it does the same effect, because you're literally getting different people from all walks of life coming together to conjugate about God, or in particular for Christianity, Jesus. And it depending on, the denomination, each one's like have their own thing they focus on far as, Christ. So I would say this one was probably like a Baptist. Most Baptists believe in, the Father, the Spirit, the Son, so the Holy Ghost. And that's not even where I get here from. But I get here from it because there was an event there, and there was a woman there that, like, immediately getting there, we were speaking and we would run into each other on and off throughout the event. But we came to line up, and we came to get in this line, and long story short, all these kids was like, this event too, to put it in context, this event was for the youth. And literally all these kids just kept cutting the line and stop. It had irritated her spirit. For me, the cutting the line part didn't irritate my spirit. Like, it was just like, I was a kid. Like, I know, kids cut the line, so I didn't even get too upset about it. That didn't bother my spirit. What bothered my spirit the most was when she would say something to them. And I will say this, when she said something to them, it was like very sassy. You can't do anything, so be quiet. It was very like, old school. It was really old school. I'm the elder, you're the child, you should show me some respect. But however, she didn't know these kids. So for me, like I said, I'm being honest. For me, it didn't have nothing to do about them cutting the line. For me, it was the disrespect when she spoke out about them cutting the line. To me, I do know kids do shit like that. I was a kid. I already know how this go. So it didn't really bother me. I'm not out of touch with how kids are. It bothered the fuck out of my spirit, though, when she said something to the kids and I saw neck popping. I saw kids literally blatantly ignore the fuck out of this lady. Like, I was like, damn, like, they just didn't even acknowledge that you just said something to them. And then, like, one girl looked like she wanted to fight her. So then, and that's the girl we're gonna focus on. So, like, this happened about like 3 times. And her kid even came in the line. Her kids and her kids' friends came in the line and wanted to be with her. She told them, no, you have to go all the way to the back of the line. So she wasn't being hypocritical. She was being an elder, and she wanted them to handle themselves the right way and be fair. However, I will say her approach was elder-like. If you black and you know. So it's like, it does come off as I'm an authority figure and you're, a child. And so Some won't find nothing wrong with that. To me, I feel like each his own. I'm trying to break away from that with my kids. I want to be an authority figure, but at the same time, I want to have where, you know, you got to give respect to get respect for certain things. And then there are certain things where I just need you to know I'm not playing. But anyway, like I said, these kids, she didn't know them. It wasn't like she knew them personally. These are just strangers. We're all strangers. So, to each other. So there was one little girl that had got out of line to go get her friends, but she got back in line and she was like, you know, you weren't right there. And the little girl was like, yeah, I was right here in front of you. And she wasn't disrespectful until she told her, no, you wasn't. And then she kind of like did a roll eye neck pop. And then she stayed right exactly where she was. But I was like, damn, these kids different from, like, you know, when we was growing up, like, we could never do that. And like, and I was a child who, like, if an adult disrespected me, like, I would disrespect them back. However, not at church. Not at church. I felt like, you know, like at church I probably would have gotten in trouble. But like at school, or like if I'm in a situation where adult is like extremely abusing power, yeah. But church, no. I felt like if I did some shit like that at church, like my mama would know. And so that meant I would be in trouble. So it was odd. It was odd to see. But things got crazy. A little bit, not super crazy, but like for me, I am trying to learn how to protect my peace and be regulated and have self-control. And so it was a real teenage girl. It was a teenage group, and they literally cut the line. It was like 2 boys in line, and it was like 5 people came. It was like 4 or 5 people came. And so the 4 or 5 people came, and they literally was standing there, and she was like, you know, y'all can't cut the line. Like, how you just feel like you gonna come up here and cut the line? And she definitely had some too with it, and this is the elder. So, you know, the teenagers like ignored her, and then one particular girl, which she was very beautiful, but she did like the most. She did the most, and I was like, oh my God, like, how you so beautiful and so ugly inside? Like, but to all actuality, it was a mirror. It was a mirror. Like, I saw me and her when I was younger. I saw me and her, and it irritated the fuck out of my spirit. I was like, ugh, like, such fucking ugly behavior. Like, too pretty to be acting like that. And so, like, if that's even a thing, because I don't think nobody should be acting ugly. But anyway, I know she ended up saying something back to me, because I was like, I could never act like that to adults when I was younger. Definitely not at no church event. And so she got mad when I said, like, you know, I said something smart, like, you know, I could never do this. And I didn't even give a fuck that they cut the line. It was her being disrespectful. So and she was the most disrespectful, like the most. Like, she act like she wanted to fight, all kind of shit. Like, she didn't say I'm gonna fight you, but body language, I'm big on body language, and it was like, I'll beat the shit out y'all. Like, who the fuck y'all think y'all talking to? And so one of her friends had to say, like, yeah, I know, you know, I understand how y'all feel, and I understand how she feel, because they were saying that, like, well, they was holding our spot, and we just wanted to come get back in our spot. However, we was right there the whole time. There was no holding no spot, because you won't there. But I guess maybe if they wanted to meet up and take the picture as a group, they could, blase, whatever. So I don't know. Like, to me, it was for the youth anyway, so I didn't really give a fuck about the cutting the line. I didn't like the disrespect. The disrespect is crazy. So me and her kind of got into like a word exchange. No, I did not cuss this little child. She was a child. She looked like she was probably about like 16, 17. But she was a child. I have a teenage child. I have teenage loved ones. So I'm not doing all that to that extreme. Now you put your hands on me, I don't really know how this gonna go. That's where I don't know where it's gonna go. But far as like the word exchange, it was more like, girl, you gonna meet your match. Like, you gonna meet your match. Like, that's all I can tell you. You gonna meet your match one day. You gonna meet your match in a kid form, cause I can't do it. I can't do it. So I did say that to her, to let her know, like, you gonna keep popping your neck and your gums. Like, you gonna meet your match. But then, like, it didn't even sit right on my spirit. It didn't sit right on my spirit how I let her get underneath my skin, because she was a child. And so we just still standing in this line. It's going by slow, because, more people just cutting. And it's like, I'm just like, I didn't care about the standing in line. I go to theme parks all the time. This shit happens all the time. Like, I was a kid. So it was just like, I got to stand in line and be, thinking about, what just transpired. So what ended up happening was, it didn't sit right with my spirit. So what I did was end up in front of everybody. Like, we didn't yell and argue either. So I don't want you to think like we got ratchet. It was a disagreement. But I felt like for her to be a child, it was like really gross misconduct on her end. But I also felt like for me to be an adult, I should have handled myself better. Because I've been there, done that. And I'm trying to be the best version of myself. God working on me. It's a work in progress. And that was growth. That was growth that night. That was growth. But I ended up asking her friend to like tell her come here, because she had kind of like distanced herself after that. Like, I guess she was like, I don't want to be nowhere near y'all bitches. So like she had distanced herself, and I told her like, friend, like, get your friend, tell her come here. And I was like, you know what? I just feel like it don't sit right with me that like the interaction we had, like, adults want kids to respect them. And I do feel like kids should respect adults, but in order to have respect, like, you got to give respect. And basically on some shit like, you didn't know me, I didn't know you. And, like, it was never that serious, but I just feel like you shouldn't be disrespecting adults, but also adults shouldn't disrespect you. And, she hit me with, yes, ma'am. She looked me in my eyes. We talked. And it was like, I told her I apologize for being the adult and not being the bigger person. Like, but I'm going to be the bigger person now. And so, and it wasn't verbatim. This is just like, trying to recall, the gist of it. So, it was a lot of yes ma'ams. And I'm telling you, she had no ma'ams. She had no ma'ams in the beginning. She had no ma'ams in the beginning. It was like, for me, if I was her age, me and her would have got to fighting. Like, me and her would have got to fighting from her body language alone. Like, her body language gave, I want to fight. So, if I was younger, but because I was grown, I'm not there. Like, I'm not nowhere near there no more. But I'm also still trying to build myself to where I control the words that come out of my mouth. I control the words that come out of my mouth. So I've grown tremendously because I didn't cuss her out, which I don't feel like I should be cussing out somebody else's child. Cause you cuss mine out, I'm gonna go off. So, and I ain't gonna say, it just depends. It depends on her situation, because I'm not one of them parents, like, if my child is wrong, my child is wrong. So, it just depends on the situation. But definitely if you put your hands on mine. I do know, like, that was brought up during the conversation. It was like, yeah, back in my time, like, because that lady, she was like a little older than me. So she was like, back in my time, you would get a whooping on the site of where you was disrespecting elders, and then you'd also get a whooping at home. And I know my mom taught me about all of that, like all of that during her time. She grew up during the 50s. So I already was aware of that's how that went. But for me, it was, oh, excuse me. I need to go eat. Excuse me. But I was a little, I had it where during my time, like, you couldn't get whoopings in school or in public by people that didn't really know your parents. But what would happen was, I definitely was going to get in trouble when I got home. Like, my mama didn't play about going out in public and misrepresenting her or myself. And so even though I was a misbehaving child sometimes, definitely in my teens, as a child, no. As a child, no. In my teens, yeah, I did turn up like that girl. I turned up like that girl. However, if it would have got back to my mama, I would have got my ass whooped. Definitely for a situation like that. My mama would have looked at it like I was being disrespectful to an elder. So for me though, I understand the old ways. I feel like if they working for some groups of people, they working for some groups of people. But what we doing over here with mine, I want my child to feel like she's a human being. And I do know that she has feelings. I do know that I have feelings. And I do know that that girl had feelings. So it didn't sit right with my spirit to leave not only my oppression on her like that, but just the oppression that all elders feel like, you know, they have rank just because they're an elder. Like, we literally could have talked to her. Well, not we. The elder who was in the right, she was right. They shouldn't have been cutting the line. The elder that was in the right, she could have came at them at a different approach, a different I think demeanor, because it's not what you say sometimes, it's how you say it. And I think it was that situation. It was like how the energy she gave, you know, all of this was like reactions. Like, it was reaction. She gave her reaction, that girl had her reaction, and then I had a reaction to the girl's reaction. And I think I actually told her that. I was like, your attitude ruffled my feathers. I couldn't even come to you with compassion and love because your attitude ruffled my feathers. But I also told her in the same sense, I'm an adult and I should have never been, you know, I should have never let your attitude had an effect on me. I should have been able to like let you know, hey, look, you know, calm down, you know, whatever, like whatever. I should have been able to handle that situation a little different, but rather than going back and forth. Like, I can't stand arguing with children. Like, that shit. I do argue with my kid, though, like, because we just be around each other all the time. But I can't stand, on average, like, arguing with kids. Like, they're kids. They're fucking children. They're learning impulse control. I feel like I'm in the big age in my 30s. Like, I should be mastering impulse control. I should be having control and self-regulation. So I'm really working on myself. And even the lady was just like, well, I'm not there yet, because I would have been snatching weaves. And I'm just like, well, I thank God, you know, that God has pulled me through that. Like, I'm not even in the stage where I gotta prove my strength to nobody. I don't have to prove my rank to nobody. I don't have to prove none of this shit to nobody. And I'm going to meet people with love and compassion. You can take it or leave it. I'm not going to give you love and compassion after I give you love and compassion and you don't, you know, utilize it the right way. But in this situation, the little girl, I gave her respect. And guess what? She ended up giving me respect. We met each other at a place of neither one of us had to have that shit sitting on our spirit. Neither one of us. And I do want to say, like, her friend, who I asked to get her and who literally kind of like wanted to be the mediator. Such a peaceful spirit, such a wise young girl. I definitely know she's gonna be someone special in life. And I definitely think that girl is gonna be someone special in life. It's always the fierce ones. The fierce ones. But yeah, I think she will too. She just got some regulation to do. She got to learn to regulate herself, and I'm learning to regulate myself as well. So all this shit is less about age and it is about growth, experience, wisdom, and actually actively trying to be the best version of yourself. So when we do look at eldership, I do feel like eldership should exist, but I also feel like we have to start teaching elders and children that respect is not something you should forcefully take from someone. Respect should be given, and it will be given in return to you. So that's just my spiel on respecting the elders. I think there is a level of respect children should have for elders, but I also think that there is a level of respect elders should have for children, because we're not raising our children anymore to feel like they are robots and they don't have feelings. Children do have feelings, and you can be disrespectful to a child. You really can. And it makes you a child when you respond to them out of losing control. So just saying that, y'all know I love being transparent with y'all and honest, and it makes me feel so fucking gross and bad to have to share this story with y'all, that I literally lost my cool with the child. And like I said, I didn't curse, but I definitely was like, I guess when, whatever she would say, I would rebuttal to it, but it was like, it was childish behavior. I didn't have to go that route. I got a better result going at her with respect than I did as giving her in return what she gave me. So, I'm just learning. Y'all know I love the kids. Y'all know I love the kids. Like, I tell y'all that all the time. I love the kids. And the kids are our future. The youth is our future. And if we're not careful how we deal with the children, the longer we're going to stay in these fucked up cycles. So please, please, please continue to raise your children. Yes, you should raise your children to respect their elders, but elders, we also have to stop coming at children like they're just so less than. They're not just so less than. They're literally human beings. They're literally spiritual beings in a human body. They're learning and growing just like we were. And some of us adults are literally still stuck at the mind frame of children. And it's not that we have to be perfect as elders or adults either, but it is having to take accountability that maybe I could have came about this situation a little bit different. So that's where I say I'm trying not to hold authority over anybody but my fucking self, and just see everybody for themselves and where they're at in life. I'm no better than anybody else. Not from the decisions I made, not from how I'm trying to handle myself, not from how I'm trying to grow in life, not from how I'm trying to conduct myself. I am only aiming and striving to be the best version of me. The best version of you can be better than me. It can be, right there with me. It could be lower than me, but I think what we have to realize is being satisfied with our own selves and our own growth. So when I say all of this, I'm not trying to say it like I'm better than anybody and all that shit. Like, I'm literally trying to figure out how to honor how I feel. And in that moment, I did not feel good leaving things that way. Definitely not with a child. Had it been an adult, maybe. But a child, no. So, saying all of that, I'm going to end this video. And I think that respect should go both ways. But some of these kids are crazy. And you parents need to raise them. So, I think it's a little bit of both. As always, in me, I'm never fully at either extreme. I feel like we should marry some things. Bye.